My name is Tholang Mafethe. I was born on the 10th of March 1991 in a small hospital called Tholang Hospital in the Northwest Province. This picture was taken in 1994. I was 3 years when this picture was taken. The girl in the picture and the woman that I've become now, they are two different people. When that picture was taken, I was living with my mom, my dad, and my siblings. But a few years after that picture was taken, my parents separated. The reason my parents broke up, I grew up in a very violent family. That little girl in the picture witnessed her mother getting kicked by her father on a daily basis. My mother worked as a domestic worker and my father was not working. He just stayed at home. In actual fact, he didn't stay at home. He was not working, but he was never there. He was always at the shebeen. Back then, the shebeens were inside someone else's house. So whenever I wanted my dad, I knew exactly where he was. So every afternoon when my mom comes home, she had to clean and cook and prepare our clothes for tomorrow for when we go to school. And my dad would get home sometimes late at night. And when he get home, he would knock once at the door. If he had to knock twice, then all hell would break loose. My father would kick anything in front of him. My mom would go and open the door. She would be the first one to get kicked. My big brothers, the two of them would come out running, trying to protect her. They would get kicked. And you would find that maybe my mom was just wearing a night dress. Then she would run out of the house. She would just run away. And he would kick my brothers. My sister would wake up and she would try to defend them and she would also get kicked. So that's why my mother and dad ended up separating. So like I mentioned, the girl in the picture and the woman that I've become now, they are two different people. The picture was taken in 1994, which was a couple of years before I got sick. Doctors found masses inside my belly, which they didn't know what it is. So I had to spend a couple of years in hospital. Moving really worked very well for me as an individual because once I stopped being exposed to so much violence, so much abuse, I started developing as a person. I started learning more about me as a human being. Like I said, my mother was working as a domestic worker, So she made sure that everything that I needed, I got. I went to school, even though it was a public school, but I went to school, I studied. And when I got to matric, because I used to write poetry and I loved it. So when I got to matric, she gave me money to go and enroll at Mabana Arts. So I did my arts while I was doing my matric. But it didn't work out because I had to juggle between my arts and my studies. So I ended up failing my matric. It really came as a shock because I thought I was balancing very well. So it came out as a shock to me. I refused to go back to school. I told my mother that I was not going to go back to school. So I worked. I worked as a cashier. I worked as a packer. I worked as a general worker. I was trying to save up money somehow, but I couldn't save enough money. By then I had a kid and my mom had stopped working because she was sick. So I was providing for my mother, I was providing for my kid. On the other hand, I thought I was saving up money to go further my studies, but it didn't happen. And then eventually I moved to Joburg. And I started working as a security officer, which also didn't last that long because I still felt that something was pulling me down. 10 years later, I went and rewrote my matric. I passed and I applied for Boston Media House and I got accepted. And here I am now doing my second year. Like I said, the girl in the picture might be me, but she's a different version of me. But she's still a version of me that I believe that I needed. She's a part of me that helped me grow, that helped me to turn out the way that I am now. My name is Tholang Mafethe, and that picture, it's the beginning of my story.